And we made it. We are live. Happy Wednesday
Wow.
or happy Thursday, depending on where you are. That it's strange
G'day.
being in 2 different days. This is amazing to me.
Yeah, where I am, Gisborne is the first place in the world to see the sun. So we
Oh,
get
yeah.
the new day every day before everybody.
First place. Wow.
Yeah. Well, the first city, I think, although I think there's islands which are just off the coast that get it before us, but yeah.
So does that also mean you have first access to all of the new Lego sets when they go live?
That's a good question. I would imagine we do. Yeah, I would imagine we do. Although I think maybe they do it all at the same. I don't know. I have to check.
Yeah. Usually when we're unsure what GWP is going to happen, I log into the Australian website
All
to
right.
find out what they got. And then if it's something decent, I assume we're going to get the same.
I do know the collectible minifigures usually turn up about a month before everybody else.
A month?
Yeah, it
Wow.
must. I think it's a slow boat to New Zealand.
Yeah. So, how far did you have to commute for Lego Masters? Must have been pretty close for you, right?
Um, well, I had to leave my city and go. Well, Auckland's about 550 kilometers by road away, so we flew up to Auckland,
Okay.
and they had us staying at Airbnbs around the city, and they would pick us up in the morning and drive us to set. So yeah, I had to. The most of us actually were away from our families for a good 6 weeks.
Wow, that must have been tough. 6 weeks.
Yeah, it was yeah. Not gonna lie, it was pretty tough. But you're on Lego Masters,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they don't cut off all communication. I mean, I'd imagine you're able
No,
to
no.
call each
Of
other.
course, you got video calls and everything. Um,
Okay.
so that was good. Yeah, and I had a few friends up in Auckland, so on the days off from filming, I'd go and catch up with them and go talk anything but Lego.
Yeah, that must have been a lot. Living, breathing, just Lego all the time.
Well, you kind of you wake up in the morning and you sit there and you talk Lego with the guys over breakfast, and then you get up and you jump in the van, and you meet all the other contestants and you talk Lego. You get there, you get dressed up, you get mic'd up, and you get made up, and then you go through the roller doors, and then there's Lego, and you're building Lego, and then you have a lunch break, and you're kind of looking up Lego online, and then you go back and you're building more Lego, and then you finish the day and you go and have dinner with the guys, and you're still talking about Lego. And then you go to bed and you're dreaming Lego, and you wake up in the morning and you're eating. No, you're not supposed to eat Lego, but yeah, don't put it in your mouth, guys. Yeah, it is very Lego centric, and it's problem solving. You just, how am I going to make this shape with these bricks? How am I going to solve? How am I going to, it's just constant problem solving. It's exhausting, but so fun, so fun.
So, how much of that kind of thing did you do on your own prior to that? Did you
What do you
build
mean?
like any massive mocks or anything on your own time?
Well,
for any Lego Masters?
I guess, yes, I have. Being in Gisborne, there was no real Lego community here back in the day. And so I was just building for myself. And I found online to be the best place to find people. And I ended up writing for the Brothers Brick for a couple of years. And that was a really cool experience. If those of you who haven't heard of the Brothers Brick, go and check them out. One of the guys, Chris, used to describe it as, you imagine you're taking a tour group through a museum and you're just explaining to people why the art is art, right? And so I got to write a couple of paragraphs about the coolest looking Lego mocks on the planet every week, and got to hone my eye and got to see the amazing talent that was out there. And I'm one of about 3 or 4, I think, Brothers Brick writers that have gone on to be on Lego Masters. It's like a training ground for Lego Masters.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then I reached out, and there was my closest Lego store was a Toy World, which was like 2.5 hours drive away. And they had a competition to build, stuff, and they got to host the Lego day for the country for the year, right? And Ryan McNaught from Lego Masters Australia actually came over and did something. And I was working on this big Lego train kind of thing just for my own amusement. And they said, "Oh, have you got anything to display for this Lego day?" I'm like, "I could bring this down." So I chucked it in the boot of my car and drove down to Napier. And I remember walking away with a UCS X-Wing as a thank you. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
To meet Ryan McNaught and got a photo taken with him. That was pretty cool. And yeah, from there, Lego shows started in Napier for the following year. They actually started a community down there. And one of the guys that was running the Wellington Lego users group came up, and it was Dan, who ended up being my buddy at Lego Masters. Fantastic. And that's where we first. Yeah.
I can't imagine a better pick for you as a partner.
Oh, I know, right?
Gel so well.
Oh, mate, he kept me honest. No, he's pretty forthright. He's pretty straight up. He calls a spade a spade. And I mean, like I remember doing, I think it was the New Zealand flag, and I built it, and he goes, "Oh, bro, you could do better than that." I'm like, "Yeah, I can do better than that." And I'd go off, and he was a good motivator, and he's got a good eye for that sort of stuff, And he doesn't hold back what he thinks.
So, how was his delivery with that kind of thing? Like, were the times where you're like, hold on a second here, or was it all constructive criticism?
Look, one of the things I learned, because I'd been to film school 20 years ago, and so I was comfortable in front of a camera. I'd been trained to be in front of a camera. I was an extra in Lord of the Rings. I'd been on TV before. I'd had an advert under my belt. I'd done plenty of auditions, so I had no fear of being on camera. And I know that I dare anybody to get in that environment and not find it incredibly stressful. It's, anytime you sneeze, the cameras are coming around to see what you're doing and what you're breaking, and it's really nerve-wracking to be in that situation. Like 1,000 eyes are on you, and so I was aware of Dan's situation, and having had my own kind of mental health experiences, I didn't take anything personally, because most of the stuff that comes out of people's mouths has got more to do with them than it's got to do with you. And all I really had to do was maintain myself, my inner calm, and I knew that he would come right.
Well, that seemed to work out pretty well. It's
we fight like cat and dog. We still do. We still disagree on everything. Not everything, but I think that you need that contrast in order to create. I think together we created things that neither of us could have probably achieved on our own. And I think that was due to the fact that both of us have completely different perspectives. Like he's a very ordered individual. I'm very chaotic. And that clashes because I can't do order and he can't do chaos. And so, that kind of itches the brain a bit. But we managed to find a way through it, which was, because we believed in each other and we believed in ourselves, and we knew what we were talking. We knew what we were there for. We were there mostly because we loved Lego. We'd both kind of been doing various things in the community to show that love of Lego, and we really wanted to talk to the audience. We knew that our audience they were going to appreciate classic space, and they were going to appreciate micro scale and macro scale, and all the things. So that's who we were playing for, because we were just we were like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. Who gets a chance to do that? So we just made the absolute most of it and pushed ourselves as builders, and pushed our love of Lego out to the community, so that maybe we could inspire future builders.
So how has the reception been since Lego Masters? Because it's been a couple of years now, right?
It's been 3 years now. Just
crazy.
Yeah, about this time actually that it was airing on New Zealand TV 3 years ago. It's been phenomenal, bro. Like, yeah. I don't know if you've seen the show. I don't know how you would have seen the show. That's
just YouTube.
But yeah, so what I think Dan and I had already discussed is like, what if it comes up? What if something about our mental health comes up on the show? What are we going to do about it? And the answer from both of us was we're going to talk about it because, men don't, and we really need to, and it's about time. And so when it happened, we just opened our mouths and words came out, and I think what the best thing that's ever created is that whenever anybody recognizes me or and they feel comfortable to share their story with me, right? Because I shared their story with the nation, with the world. And so I get some really wonderful, intimate moments with the fans, over a common love of Lego bricks and a common shared narrative around mental health, or a common shared mental health story. And I've traveled the width and breadth of New Zealand, and I've heard some of the most amazing and some of the most horrific stories possible. But I'm still I'm amazed at the resilience of human beings. There's so many things that people go through that they don't speak about, they don't tell anybody, they just kind of work through on themselves, and they just go out there in the world and put a brave face on. And you only have to scratch the surface with anybody to know that everybody's going through a lot more than they let on. And I think that's been a valuable lesson.
To some degree, we're all at least a little broken, right?
I think I've been thinking about this a lot. I think that none of us really know what we're doing, and our parents didn't know, and their parents didn't know. I mean, you think about it. You get World War II. The guys come home that did actually manage to come home. I think it was 1 in 10. They didn't talk about anything that went on, and it's like they would have seen some of the most horrific shit possible. Excuse my language. And you wondered why they exploded when and so. There's this ingrained generational kind of trauma regarding the type of behaviors that we're allowed to exhibit and not allowed to exhibit, and men were never allowed to talk about their feelings ever. And I think that's caused more harm than good. And I think that's an intergenerational thing that humans our culture doesn't allow for real, authentic, honest communication around our innermost feelings and thoughts. Not everywhere, and certainly not in public.
Yeah. So thinking of it that way, do you think some people actually use Lego as not so much as just as a therapeutic device, but almost as purely an escape? Do you think it can work both ways?
I saw a meme the other day that said the opposite of depression is expression. Mm-hmm. And I've come to believe that 7 years ago, when I really didn't want to be here anymore, I just didn't want to be who I was. I didn't want to be doing the things I was doing. And I stumbled upon the concept of ikigai, which is a Japanese concept of where your passion meets your vocation, meets your mission, and it's something that you can do for service. And I can honestly say that I don't get depressed anymore because I express myself. I'm honest and authentic. I don't hide my feelings. I don't hide my truth. Whereas previously I would have kind of held back or kind of stifled myself for the sake of other people's feelings. I find that I don't go out to intentionally hurt anybody's feelings, but also I don't hold back when my feelings are hurt, which is something I used to do. And I personally think that Lego taught me how to express myself. Because if I look back at some of the art, if you go back over my Flickr pages over the last couple of decades or however long I've been on there, I can look back at some of those pieces of art and I can see the mindset that I was in to create those feelings, to create that art, even though I didn't see it at the time. And so, further to that question, I guess one of my favorite stories is the guys down in Christchurch at the House of Bricks. They had there was an autistic 7 or 8 year old autistic boy, non-verbal, didn't have many friends, didn't talk to anybody in the playground, was just kind of kept to himself. They got in there with some Lego, and next minute he built this robot, spent ages building this robot. And someone said, "Oh, what's that about?" And he just wouldn't shut up about it. And so what I've learned is that a lot of people don't have the ability to express themselves with words like Dan and I are very blessed to be able to do. And especially the introverted folk, you go to Lego shows, you see, there'll be someone sitting behind a massive display, sitting playing by themselves, and someone will say, "What's this?" And next minute they light up and their face lights up and they've got this huge big story. And the way I think about it is because they've been able to process all those thoughts while they're building that thing. So every time they look at the thing, they've already got the answers and the process already up in there because they've already processed through it, right? And I feel like it's a cathartic way of exploring some of the kind of crazy messed up thoughts I got in my head and put them into something tangible and physical and real, and then I can see it and then I can describe it, So I feel that Lego is, one of the things that I've noticed about neurodiversity, right? If you get an idea in your visual cortex, which is at the back of your brain, and you want it to get to the prefrontal cortex, which is the boss executive function part of your brain, you need to have the motor cortex come online, right? And so when you see a kid that's at school, it's like, sits and pay attention, it's like, I can do one or the other, I can't do both. If you want to pay attention, I have to fidget. And I think one of the things that Lego is the ultimate fidget toy, because not only are you using your hands, you're activating your motor cortex, you've got the emotional resonance because there's the nostalgia, there's the sound, there's all that other thing. So you're immersed in this, completely self-created world. And you're able to express yourself in bricks in a form that doesn't even allow for words because you're using a different aspect of your brain that doesn't even think in words. So some of the things you can actually produce are kind of forms, or they have form, but there's no kind of label that goes along with it. But you can still express, I think of the man on the chair, right? A pile of bricks that I haven't seen a single person look at and go, oh, and actually feel what that sculpture, that inanimate object is feeling. It's a remarkable medium. Yeah. I hope that answered your question. I went on a bit of a tangent.
Yeah. So, all right. So when you have these feelings and you're trying to get them out, do you get your pile of bricks and then see what happens to get it out? Or do you very intently, this is what's in my head, and you try to make that?
Nah. How would I describe that? I kind of I just start doodling. For example, this one here, everybody loves this that I've showed to. It's basically a lot of frogs, right? Because I built a giant walker train and I bought 2 bonsai trees because I needed all the brown curvy parts to create my final product. So these were just left over. And I was like, what am I going to do with all these pink frogs? And I managed to get a whole lot of tiles and little plates. And I just started doodling and just, so if you look closely, there's yellow frogs in the middle. The gold bunnies, they were a gift from Robin from Lego Masters. And they're exclusive Lego, I don't think those exist anywhere apart from where Robin got them from. And of course, that's the Mad Hatter's hat. But the number of people, and I just spent, 20 minutes, half an hour just playing. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then someone said, oh man, you should put that in a frame or something. I'm like, really? I was just mucking around. So it's the same with the vases that I created. I was just doodling. And next minute, I'm like, oh, they look like a vase. There you go, And so it's not often, sometimes I build with intent. Like I have a mission. So the challenge was a few years ago, they had some challenge online. It was like an iron builder thing. They sent a bunch of pieces and said, this is your seed piece. Make as many things as you can using this piece in every build. So, a bit of creativity in a box. I love it. Love it.
You love that because it gives you a clear direction of sorts, right? Like the limitation is almost free.
If I just sit down in front of a pile of bricks, I don't know where to start. My brain could go into a million directions and usually does, and I don't have scope. Whereas if you look at the man on the chair, hope defeats despair. Our challenge was to build something out of one color that wouldn't look out of a place in a museum and had to elicit an emotion from across the room. That's 3 simple constraints. But what that allowed us to do, because I couldn't think of any ideas that day, it was Dan that came up with that idea.
Oh, you muted yourself. Hold on. You're muted.
Sorry about that. I pushed the wrong button. So it allowed us to create. It allowed us to create within those confines, and I don't think if we had those confines, we would have been able to create that thing. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I'm glad you got those confines then, because that was amazing. What an unbelievable.
I think I learned something similar at film school. Like I remember that one of the first challenges we ever got, we had a team of 6 people going out with cameras and things. Right? Okay, you have to do a story that's like a minute and a half long, using only looks and glances. So you've got 2 characters that are exchanging looks and glances, no words, and you have to tell a story in 90 seconds. It's like, well, how do you do that? You know, whereas if you were told, go and make a 90-second story, that's too much like scope. It's like, well, what am I, how many people are in it? Like, what's the story involved? Are there props? So that, you know, so I think having a bit of restriction around your own creativity can really help it.
So did you have enough options for parts? I mean, I'd imagine the supply was pretty good there.
No.
Okay.
So the entire Lego catalog, I think, has 17,000 parts in it, right? That have ever been constructed, 17 types of elements. In the brick pit, we had 1,400. So,
wow.
You know,
oh man.
Yeah. So very few, like, I mean, it looked amazingly visual, but a lot of the parts were very, very simple. And the first few episodes, we were going and looking for parts that we would have in our collection, and they weren't there. And these were common parts that we thought would be there, and they weren't. But then we got a copy of the Bible, which had a printout of all the parts that were in the brick pit. And then we had another map of the brick pit, which showed where the parts were in relation to each other. So most of the time, in the breaks in the green room, we were just sitting studying, looking for okay, I want to build this shape, but I'm going to need that part. Do they have any? No. What else is close? Oh, one of the. So again, it was that creativity in a box. You know, it's like, I haven't got the parts that I need to make this, but I can make do with those parts and kind of mash something together.
Wow. Okay. So at least they gave you some kind of guide that you could work with.
Yeah,
it wasn't
well, yeah,
just pure hunting all the time.
But that took 2 or 3 episodes, I think. It wasn't straight out, because this was the first season of Lego Masters New Zealand, and each of the Lego Masters is kind of run independently. I mean, I think Billand has a word in how, what, when, and what you're allowed to get away with. The producers would always come on every day with a list of things that you weren't allowed to do. No minifig death, no gore, no religion, no guns, no violence, no, all, well within the Lego brand and completely, legit as far as I'm concerned. I thought it was great. Again, more limitations, but it pushes your imagination then,
So you're in the first season, and you guys are on the learning curve, coming in the first couple episodes.
Pretty steep.
But the whole crew was also on the learning curve at that point, I guess, being the first season.
Well, at the same time, we were very lucky. It was kind of a flagship show, so we had kind of the best of everybody. Like the director of photography was one of the best in TV in the country, and like his crew were very good. And the Alex and her partner that would, they were the ones that kind of spearheaded it in the first place and got Lego Masters in New Zealand because of their passion. Alex was making like the hovering brick, that actually hovered. It used to be an old Death Star clock. And she pulled it apart and pulled the electromagnets out of it and put a Lego brick around it instead. And even the host, he took it home for the weekend to try and figure out how to do it. He couldn't figure it out. But Alex, every time she came up and just put it right there, and then added the dry ice and stuff to make it look more exciting. But then everybody there, they had a passion for what they were doing. We were there on the camera with a passion for Lego, but a bunch of the people behind the scenes had a passion for Lego, as well. And the ones that didn't, they had a passion for producing really good quality shows. And they had this amazing visual medium with so much excitement and drama and joy that they were just, it was infectious, right? It was beautiful. It was a really lovely experience. Stressful, but amazing. Yeah. So supportive.
So have you kept in touch with a lot of them since then? I mean,
I
obviously
have.
you have your show. So
I mean, we still have a group chat with all the Lego Masters in it. And of course, we bump into each other at Lego shows from time to time. I managed to add some of the guys as friends, the photographers and the crew and that on Facebook, and keep regular tabs and keep saying hello and whatnot. So one of the funny things though was I remember Dan was telling me he was at a Lego show in Auckland, and one of the camera guys walked up to him and said g'day, and he didn't recognize him because during filming they were all wearing masks because of COVID lockdown rules. So that's all we had. That's all we had to see everybody from. And so when this cameraman rocked up to him, he's like, "Hey Dan, how's it going?" He's just like, "Do I know you?" Because and then because I remember the first time I saw one of them without a mask for the first time, like I didn't expect you to look like that, because you make up in your head what you think they look like.
Yeah, those were tough times. So you were in there for 6 weeks. How long was it? How long was it before you could talk to anybody about it?
3 months.
3 months.
I really feel for the guys in season 2 because they filmed season 2 back to back with season 1, and so they had to wait a year and 3 months.
Oh my God.
So I feel like I got off lightly.
Yeah. Wow. And it's attached to Lego, so I'd imagine you have all kinds of an NDA and all kinds of things you have to sign.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
That must have been tough.
Well, I don't know. It's kind of like knowing what people get for Christmas, though. It's like when you're wrapping someone's present and you're like, I know what's coming, but you don't. It was kind of fun in that sense. And yeah.
Well, and I suppose you could still talk about the experience itself. You couldn't talk
absolutely.
about results.
After the fact. Okay. After it's been on TV, we're allowed to, but before that, no.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. So you get out of there, you're glowing, you're having a great time. You just had this amazing month and a half, and you're like, nope, can't talk to you about it.
Yeah, it was a bit of shell shock. I mean, I got back and it was like going to Lego University, like an intense Lego University, right? I get back and it's like, I want to build something because I've got nothing to show for anything because I've built all this amazing stuff and it's all gone back into the brick pit. I don't know where it's gone. Actually, some of it went on to the directors and the producers' desks, and I believe they end up going home. Which is, that's nice. That's a compliment. Someone's stolen my art. But the first thing I did when I got home was I rebuilt the tuatara from the final episode because I knew I had better bricks at home than I had at the brick pit. And then of course I finished it within a few days, and then I was like, I can't show this to anybody until the TV show comes out because it's a spoiler.
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah. But it was it wasn't that bad. I think the strange thing was watching it with an audience and hearing them gasp and ooh and ah and kind of waiting on the edge of their seats for the ads to come back, and I'm just like, I don't feel any of this tension at all because I know what's happening next.
Yeah. Was it weird watching and seeing what was going on with everybody else? Because
you kind of knew.
You only see what you're involved in.
Because we did chat with each other during the breaks, and we kind of, and when someone had a drama, you knew because all the camera guys would go running in that direction, So but it was. I think what was cool was seeing their interviews because that was something we didn't get to see, and so seeing what they had to say about their builds, and that was quite interesting.
How long did the fire last after the show?
Sorry?
How long did the fire last? Like the excitement, like I just want to build. I just want to build. I want to keep doing that.
It hasn't really gone. I did a mass kind of 3 or 4 weeks of just building straight solid, and then and I still build regularly. It's just lately I've been just building on Lego Masters and looking at what I can do with, because it's one thing to go on the show, but it's another thing to learn that you have this incredible talent that people value, and it's like, well, how can I turn that into a living, so that I can continue to do it, and so I've been very fortunate. I managed to get a couple of commissions to build Lego art for money. I'm running Lego workshops at the moment, mindfulness and kind of helping people create better teams and recognize their own cognitive strengths and weaknesses, just so they can help, better navigate things. Because I think one of the best pieces of feedback I got about Lego Masters was I was at a Lego show in Christchurch, and this father from this family came up to me and he said, thank you so much. I'm like, thank me, come on, I was on TV playing Lego, you don't have to thank me. And he's like, no, it was the only time in our busy week that the whole family got together as a unit. And then after the show, all the Lego bins came out, and then we started building Lego and playing together. And I really thank you for creating that in our household. I'm like, oh, well, you are welcome. And so what I've been trying to focus on is intergenerational workshops. I had a wonderful workshop here where I had a grandfather, the mother, and an 11-year-old boy, all in the workshop. The mother was helping me sort some Lego and talking about neurodiversity. The boy was sitting there building some cool stuff, and his grandfather was just sitting there with this huge smile on his face every time the kid came up and showed him what he'd been working on. And it was just a lovely, a real genuine family moment, connectivity over bricks. And I'm addicted to that.
Yeah, I mean, helping people and the joy of children is almost more rewarding than the financial benefit. And I say almost because you also have a family.
You got to pay your bills and you got to eat.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think the coolest thing is that I get to be a superhero without a cape, right? I get to rock up to these places and the kids see me and go, oh my God, it's that Lego Master. And they get the biggest smiles. And then they're saying, can you build me something? And I just build something. And next minute, I'm hearing about it weeks and months later going, oh, I remember you did that thing. And it's the gift that keeps on giving, right? Because everybody's got a positive Lego story. There's very little negativity associated with Lego at all, apart from standing on bricks. I've heard that a lot. But it's just so wholesome. It's ridiculous. I love it.
And don't forget, you can wear a cape at any time.
I do.
Okay. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
It's the beauty of self-employment.
That's my alter ego, though, and I try not to talk about that out loud.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of alter egos, I forget what show it was, but you, in one of your shows, you held up the monster truck Batmobile. That was fantastic.
Ooh. Please hold. Yeah, okay. Which one?
It was the animated series. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. That is awesome.
I like this one.
Oh, that actually looks a lot better in that color, I think.
Yeah.
That's what.
And it's got post-apocalyptic Batman from the Lego movie and driving it. It's a bit dusty.
That's great.
This is one of my favorites, though.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite vehicles in my personal collection. It looks good with those tires on.
I know, right? What else have I got? Oh, and I think that's from one of the modulars.
I don't think I recognize that one.
And then, of course, I just started getting ridiculous on it.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I've got a Lego show coming up in like 2 weeks. And my theme is going to be monster trucks.
Perfect.
Yeah, what happened is I was moving and I happened to I had a monster truck and the mystery machine in my hand at the same time, and I was just like, I've got an idea here. And the next minute I just got carried away. I think I bought 10 monster trucks so far.
Yeah. So, did you actually build the monster trucks as they came out of the box first, or did you just completely tear them apart and part them out? Oh, there you go.
I still have one, but no, mostly I just opened the bags and tore the bits out and then just threw the rest in the. But I've got enough of the main guy that I'm going to make them as pawns on a chess set.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, I was thinking of doing a Speed Champions chess set with, you know, blues and reds as, you know, with helmets and, you know.
That's fun.
I have a thing for chess sets. I really like to build. I've done what was it? Oh, knights and castles. I want to do a knights versus orcs. And I really want to do a Star Wars one, good versus bad, but I've seen a couple of those. So it's not really novel.
Yeah. Those ones I would imagine get pretty pricey too.
Yeah, especially when you're using collectible minifigs.
Yeah. Yeah, the Star Wars CMF that we'll never get.
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah.
Never say never, eh?
Yeah. Well, we get them every April 1st, right?
Oh man, there were some great April 1st gags. I was scrolling through going, really? Oh, now I'm just going to go off the internet. I'm tired of getting my hopes and dreams dashed like that.
Yeah.
I think my favorite one was the inverted Lego logo embossed on from Brick Nerd. That was cool.
Yeah, I tried to stay offline all day yesterday. The problem is with the algorithm now, it doesn't matter. If you skip a day, it knows what you wanted to see and just shows it to you the next morning anyway.
Yeah, I know. Yep.
I thought I escaped. There's no escape.
You can't escape the Matrix, mate.
Seriously. So thinking of brick shows, brick conventions, all of those things, is that a regular thing for you? Do you go to as many as you
can? I try. There's a lot, and it does get costly. I would like to go to the Chicago Brick World. That's the one I'm aiming for in June this year, because I understand it's quite a big one. And I've got most of the Lego Masters as friends now on Facebook, so it'd be cool to catch up with all those people at the shows, you know?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Hey, if you come out, I'd love to meet you. I'll be there this year.
Yeah, Matt. Well, I think I would love to, there's a whole bunch of fans out there and everywhere. I know I love meeting people, and especially Lego people, because I find that just that shared common language of Lego bricks is just, it dissolves a lot of barriers, and it allows for a lot of conversations that you probably previously wouldn't have been able to have. And it's just it's always a good vibe with Lego people.
Yeah, that's a long, long way to go. So how long would it take you to get to Chicago?
I don't know, probably 20 hours, I think. It'd be a couple of trips. What I was thinking of doing, because there's a Aussie show on early June. I was thinking of going to Aussie for the early June one, then going to Chicago and then coming back. But what I'd like to do is, because I haven't been to the States since I was 19, so it's been a while, and I've got a bunch of friends that are scattered all over. It'd be cool to kind of spend a bit of time in the States and visit the different places. Take the opportunity while I've got it.
For sure. Yeah, I think at one point I was told Hawaii is halfway to Australia. Is that right?
Yeah. As the crow flies, is about right. Yeah.
Okay. That's so far. Hawaii is as far as.
Well, I mean, what time is it over there? It's 2:42 p.m. on Thursday here.
It's 9:42 Wednesday night here.
So that's quite a distance when you think about the size of the globe. Yeah, well, is the Earth flat? No.
So that's 17 hours. So
that's a long time. I can't wait till they invent portal travel.
When you just take a tube right through the middle?
Yeah, for sure. Quantum tunneling or something, and just kind of have a portal open up in the room and just step in and be in America. That'd be cool.
Oh, I just saw like the worst thing on, I think it was TikTok. Apparently, there was some kind of like, I don't know, visual portal that they had between New York and I think it was London at one point.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was for New Year's Eve or whatever it was, but basically, if you're in London, you could look at the screen, see people in the street in New York, one way or the other. The clip, somebody from London holds up his phone to somebody in New York, and it's the towers. Like, oh my God, what is wrong with you people? This is why we can't have nice things. It's like,
people just, it's like the Joker says, some people just like to watch the world burn.
Yep. And
but it's all right. For every one of those, there's at least 3 or 4 of us that like to build stuff. So, good luck.
Yeah.
They can't burn down everything.
Yeah. Actually, the set numbers just came out for 6 new architecture sets.
Yeah, is it real though?
It came from a decent source, and they verified it today. So I wonder if they're going to bring back the skylines. What they're going to do there. It's been a while.
That'd be cool. I built a skyline of New York, of New Zealand, Auckland, New Zealand, because Lego hadn't done one. They still haven't. That's on my Flickr page.
Cool. What is? I don't think I knew Flickr was still a thing.
Flickr is still a thing. Oh my God, Flickr's the best thing.
Flick.
A lot of Lego users still use Flickr. A lot of them are migrated to Insta, but a lot of people still use Flickr. It's because you can store high resolution images and still copyright them and all that.
All right. Yeah, there it is. How about that? I'm really bad at social media. And I don't mean like, I don't understand the algorithm. Like, you lose too much of your life to it. Because it's like, I'm just going to log in and just see what so-and-so is doing. And then next thing you know, it's like 7 hours later and you're starving and you're cold. And it's like, oh, man, I'm still sitting in the car.
Yeah, it can get a bit like that.
Yeah.
It's that nice little source of dopamine, right?
Yeah. And the supply is endless.
Yeah. And the algorithms have been hacked to keep us hooked.
Yeah. The algorithm's a tricky thing. So people say that, it's set up to, create rage and all these other things. It just shows you what you look at.
Well, it's a mirror. And like what I learned years ago is that an anger emoji on Facebook is weighted 6 times heavier than a laughter emoji on Facebook. So that means if you react in anger, you're more likely to stay engaged in the platform and you're more likely to keep scrolling. So I have never used the anger emoji and I never will. And I've gamed my algorithm so that anything that comes up that I don't want to see, I just say not interested. I don't comment. I don't let it get to me because that's how it gets to you. And I like and love and laugh everything I can that I like. And so the algorithm feeds me more of that. So I think it's just like the universe. You get back what you put out.
Yeah, for sure. We need more of that. One second here. So, okay. So what was the gap between finishing the show and starting Spitting Bricks? Did you know right away after the show that you wanted to start that?
Well, see, the Grab Life by the Bricks was the thing that I created first. And when we came to do Lego Masters, Dan asked, because he had already had a company, said, can I talk about, my company on the show? And they said, as long as it exists, you're allowed to talk about it. If it doesn't exist, you can't. And so the day that I signed the paperwork for Lego Masters was the day that I started Grab Life by the Bricks so that I could talk about it. And then in the very last episode, when the host asked, like after they said that we'd come third, oh, sorry, spoiler alert, and said, what did I think? I said, everything is awesome when you're part of a team and you grab life by the bricks. And so, yeah, I had the intention that 7 years ago, I had the idea I wanted to get a bus full of Lego and drive it around playing Lego with people. And at the time, everybody thought it was mad. And so I went to Wellington. I ended up driving buses for 2 years and got my driver's licenses. And then, lockdown happened. I'd come back to see my son for his birthday. And then, so after lockdown lifted, I went and got a job. And then I went to the doctors and got diagnosed with lymphoma. So I had 6 months of chemotherapy. And then I just finished my last chemotherapy session in June. And then in July, an ad on Facebook said, do you want to be a Lego master? And I was like, yep. And then, 6 months after that, I was on telly. And now I am 3 years later, cleared of the cancer and still alive. And I kind of just working towards, because I always want to do something with Lego. And then when I got the opportunity, when I got thrown into the Lego Masters alumni Facebook group and realized there's 600 of us that have been on the show around the world, I was like, wow, that's a lot of really creative and, really lovely and genius people. That there's this huge resource there of information regarding creativity and mindfulness and mental health. I'll just start. And so I posted a thing into the Lego Masters alumni group saying, hey, I want to do this conversation. Who's interested? And I had 28 of the Lego Masters say yes. And I was like, well, there's a half a year's worth of content right there. Yeah. So, and I kind of always figured that Spitting Bricks would be the flagship show, which kind of leads people to the other things I do, which was like the mindfulness workshops and the creative commissions, and of course my merchandise and any other endeavors that I kind of want to get into, because ultimately Lego saved my life, right? I wouldn't be here if I hadn't been able to process a lot of the stuff that was going on in my head through Lego, so that I could learn to speak about it and learn to understand what was going on. And I kind of felt like the whole systems that we grew up in aren't designed to get the best out of us. And when we don't get the best out of ourselves, we don't like ourselves very much. And that can lead to all sorts of depression and anxiety and all sorts of things. And it's just because we're not being our true selves, because we're kind of pushing down this kind of creative being that's inside of us, because we fear that, we fear, full stop. We fear what other people will think. We fear what other people will say. We fear, what, and I think a lot of that is just all in our heads. And it's like I was saying earlier, that there's a video on YouTube of an ant on a piece of paper, and someone draws a circle around the ant, and next minute the ant won't leave the circle. And I kind of feel like that's how we are as humans with our self-limiting beliefs. We get circles drawn around us by our parents or our teachers or our colleagues or our bosses or our friends or ourselves. And we don't feel like we can step outside those boundaries. And it's like, well, you made them, or they're there. Just test them, push against them and see where you can go. Because nothing interesting ever happens inside your comfort zone. And unless you're pushing against what makes you feel uncomfortable, then you're not really growing. And I think that's the reason we're on this planet, is to learn and grow and to love and share and, create a better world, leave the world better than we found it.
So from the people you've talked to, how many have got to the point where Lego is their full-time gig? Because that's got to be insanely hard to do.
I don't know, to be honest. I think there's a handful. I think there's 13 Lego certified professionals on the planet, which they have an agreement with Lego, and they, that's their thing. There's a bunch of individual artists, like I know, like Nathan Zawawe, who was it recently? Paul Hetherington just recently started an exhibition. In New Zealand, there's a couple of the Lego Masters from Australia got together with a group of about 6 other people, and they created an exhibit which is called Relics, which is set in the year 2350 or something. And it's like the humans have gone and the minifigs have taken over all these human relics. It's a beautiful exhibition.
Awesome.
It's currently on in Dunedin in the South Island for another couple of weeks. So if you're down there, go and have a nosy. And so yeah, there are the odd person, you know, and there's so I don't think it's impossible. It's not easy. But you know, if it was easy, I probably wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, do you think it would be as much fun if it was easy?
No.
Yep.
No. Well, I mean, 7 years ago when I said I wanted to get a bus full of Lego, drive around playing Lego, people thought I was nuts. But for the last 7 years, I've decided to step in that direction. And now when I say it, people believe me because they can see that, well, I've got my licenses. I can prove myself as a Lego builder. And my workshops, the people that have experienced my workshops, they love them. So, you know, what I guess is that if you think that you've got an idea in your head that you could see succeeding, don't listen to anybody else. Believe in yourself and keep pushing, because the only thing that's ever going to get you there is persistence. You know, and I think, like Eleanor Roosevelt famously said, if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. So start with your self-limiting beliefs, identify what they are, and then push against them to see if they're true. And I think you'll find they're not. And then once you're stepping into that space, your self-belief just comes because you've proven yourself to yourself when you've got nothing else to prove anymore.
Do you give yourself pep talks, or what do you go to for motivation?
I wake up every morning alive, and I didn't think I was going to, because 7 years ago I was in this situation where I was going to take it myself, and then 3 years ago I was in the situation where cancer was trying to take it from me, and I decided that I hadn't lived enough. I hadn't left the world better than I found it, and I really hadn't finished my mission on this planet. So my motivation comes from finding my purpose and understanding that my job is to be the best version of me I can be, spread as much love and laughter and education and joy as possible, and help people find their true natures and their true selves, because that's the only thing that's ever going to make anybody happy. Because I've done that for myself, and I think I've used Lego to rebuild myself. Grab Life by the Bricks exists because I literally grabbed life by the bricks and said, you know, I decided on the life I wanted and just said no to everything that isn't it. And yeah, I had to make some sacrifices. I had to go without a few meals. I had to go without a few things, but you know, I'm living a life that I designed for me and for my kids and for the community, because I found I worked out what it is that my passion was and what drove me. And I worked out how I could use that to give the best gift possible. And, you know, if you can find out what your passion is and you can make it into your vocation, you'll never work another day in your life. It's not going to be easy, but then nothing good was ever easy. You know, you look at it, it's easy to eat shit food. It's easy to, you know, to drink booze. It's really hard to not drink in a culture full of drinkers. It's really hard to go to the gym and stay in shape when all the food out there is really quick and easy to eat and, you know, allows you to put on weight. Doing the easy thing is not the optimal route to success. It's certainly nowhere near, you know, it's the cop-out route, and you'll never get anywhere by choosing the easy route.
Yeah. Well, and
learning to embrace
successful,
using to embrace the challenge and kind of like Jim Carrey said once that life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. And if you think that life is happening to you, then you kind of inhabit a victim mindset, and then you feel like there's nothing you can do about it. And that's just not true, because your power lies in how you react to the world, not what the world does to you. And if you take the attitude that, what's the lesson here? Why is this happening for me? What am I not learning? What can I gain from this situation? Yes, it's horrific. Yes, it's terrible. But where's the lesson? Where's the gold? And I think if you can keep an eye on that, like, I think that's what comedy has really helped, is because tragedy and comedy are opposite sides of the same coin. And I find the quicker you can flip that coin, then the more enjoyable your life is. And the less I'm dwelling on the negative shit, because like life isn't easy. So why do we expect it to be?
Yeah. So that pops in a couple of videos that I've seen yours from the past. Yeah. Have you tried your hand at stand up again recently? What's your angle there?
Well,
A bit of a
there's
comedian.
no stand-up comedy thing in Gisborne, but I have been doing a lot
Really?
of emceeing and hosting of other things. My goal is to create a variety show, hosting a variety show and showcasing some of the amazing talent we've got here in Tairāwhiti, because we've got some amazing musicians and performers and dancers and singers, and like there's so much talent in our region that I don't know. You know these you get some kid that grows up and he's spending 8 hours a day playing the guitar, and then someone tells him to go get a real job. It's like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? You know, and I think a lot of us don't recognize our own skills because no one's ever told us that we were good at something. And so what I really like to do is kind of showcase some of the amazing talent, because I've got a profile, I've got a platform, and I want to encourage other people to lean into their passions. You know, we're living on the internet. We're living in a world where artists can genuinely make money directly from their audience with their art, and that's never been possible in the whole recorded history of humanity. So why are we not doing that? Why are we not leaning into the things? And let's be fair, AI and robots are going to replace us all in about 3 or 4 years' time. So why don't we just do the things we love and let the robots do all this horrible stuff?
Yeah, a robot is never going to build a proper community. They can't.
No, and that's where our strength lies, and that's what we need to focus on, because I think that, especially in the West, our idea of community has been fractured. You know, we're living individual lives, paying individual bills and individual, and we're wondering why we're having a loneliness epidemic. You know, building a community is the only way to really solve the mental health crisis on this planet, as far as I can see, because realistically, all anybody needs to get through anything is someone to listen to them, unconditional love and no judgment, and just hold space for them while they process the shit that's going on in their head. And if more people knew that and allowed that and just listened to what other people have to say, I think the world would probably ultimately end up being in a better place. And if more people were allowed themselves and gave themselves permission to be authentic and speak their truth, and to not keep up appearances or, oh, I can't do that because it might offend someone. Just, do it. Life's offensive. As long as you're not deliberately trying to inflict harm on anybody, then say what you mean and mean what you say. I know. I feel like Dr. Seuss. He had some amazing wisdom, that guy. I love his poems.
Yeah, it's...
What is that one that one of my favorites is... Be who you are and say what you feel, because those that mind don't matter and those that matter don't mind.
Yeah, that's it's very bright.
And these are really simple things that we were taught all the way through our schooling and stuff and our childhood in these books, and then we forgot about it somewhere. Well, and I think
the
also
information hasn't gone anywhere.
Like the media and like the last few years, everything's designed to keep you afraid and buying stuff that you don't need. So I refuse to be afraid. I don't like doing as I'm told. And if they're trying to keep me afraid, I don't want to be. There's so much more to life than living in fear. Live in love, Yeah.
I mean, you also live in one of the more beautiful places on earth. So
I'm blessed, honestly. I really won the lottery when I chose to be incarnated in New Zealand.
Yeah. I'll make a different choice next time. Yeah. Boston area is not super sexy like that.
It's what is unusual is, like, growing up, everything that ever happened interesting was in America. Like when we were kids, nothing really exciting ever happened in New Zealand. If you wanted to go to space, you had to go to America. If you wanted to be on TV, if you wanted to be, in the movies, you had to go to America. And then slowly, as I've grown up, I've watched it all come here. It's like now, Mahia Peninsula, we're launching rockets. Like I can see them launching from the deck of my house. we got rockets going into space down here, right? And Lord of the Rings and like Avatar. I've been on both those movies. I live in New Zealand. Everybody's been an extra in those movies.
So how does that work? Being an extra, is that just something that shows up on like Facebook and you're like, oh yeah, I'll apply for that? How does that go?
Well, with the big things, you have to have an agent, and I've spent years trying to get onto TV and stuff. So yeah, I had an agent at the time, and they put me forward for the job because they needed a look. And being 6 foot and blonde with fair eyes and white skin, naturally I'm a bad guy. So I got to play in Avatar 2 and Avatar 3. I'm actually one of the bad guys at the compound, rocking around in the main what do you call it? The ops center for the bad guys. But that was amazing because I got to watch Jim Cameron make movies and edit and direct like Eddie Falco and all that. It was just incredible to be able to sit there and just watch a master craftsman constructing a giant film, basically like a Lego build, just like getting the pieces of story and bits and pieces. It was incredible. Moving minifigs around, but they're actually people.
That's nuts. So how much time did you get to spend on set? Was that just like a come in on this day?
As an expert, you turn up at 5:30 in the morning and you leave. You're the first to turn up and the last to leave because you never know when you're going to be needed. So you turn up, you get into a costume, and then you sit around all day playing cards until you're required on set. And then you just, and then when you're on set, you stand back and you just watch. And it's very educational.
Yeah. So,
and it's amazing because it's like one of the few places on the planet that you get a group of incredibly intelligent, creative beings working synergistically. And like each of them has their own department, but it's all crucial for the final product. And it's like you've got the behind the scenes and then the front of the scenes. So when the behind the scenes are busy, the front of the scenes are not. And when the front of the scenes are not, behind the scenes, are busy, these guys are not. It's and it's it's encapsulated the perfect I think the perfect mode of human productivity by capturing the hurry up and wait essence. It's like when they're working furiously quickly on something, but then they stand back in the kind of an idle mode, waiting for their next chance to do their job. So they work 18-hour days sometimes, like big long days, but because of this hurry up and wait, they've got a good it's one of the best practices I've seen of actually of achieving really good results, but still in a kind of still allowing idle mode to allow for real creativity to happen. Because I find that if you're running around like a hamster in a wheel, creativity doesn't happen. You need that wait period in order to get the boredom, to get the sparks of ideas, right? It's like when my kids come to me and go, I'm bored. I'm like, great. That means that you're not consuming anybody else's stuff. And you have a chance to use your own insights to kind of push you forward as opposed to just following the rules.
Yeah, we tell our kids that they're not bored. They're just boring. Do something exciting.
I'm going to use that one. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, we have an entire house full of Lego, and I mean, obviously, we have other toys in the house as well.
Yeah.
How could you possibly be bored?
Like, you're not bored. You lack imagination. Go find some.
Yeah. And don't kill each other.
Yeah.
They're brutal. It's my youngest is 3, and she'll just come out of nowhere and tackle her sister. It's unreal.
Well, I got boys, and they don't stop. They've got to the point now where I have to encourage them. It's like, if you're going to fight, put on some gloves and get in a ring, because at least there are rules in there.
Yeah. Kids are just little like death machines. I don't understand. I never would have seen that coming, which I suppose I was as a kid.
Yeah. But then you kind of forget that, huh?
Yeah. The
hardest part is trying to teach the you out of the kids. Like, no matter what I do, they're still just like me. Damn it.
Yeah. my oldest was diagnosed with ADHD, and it's like, no shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I wonder where he gets that from. Yeah.
yep, and it's pretty clear. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the name ADHD. I don't think it's a disorder. I don't think we're disordered. I think it's just a difference in cognition, and the neurotypical standards just don't apply to everybody, and they should stop asking them to, because it's making people feel like they're not enough, and that's bullshit. We're all exactly the way we're supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also strange because the people that don't understand expect the H to actually mean manic, which is they're looking for the wrong thing.
One of the things I use as an example is I use The Simpsons, because The Simpsons, they're all neurodiverse, all of them. Bart Simpson is your chronic underachiever. Like, that's the hyperactive version, right? Which is what I always like. Lisa is your chronic overachiever in the sense that she's hyperactive in her head, right? And that's why she's a chronic. That's why she's constantly achieving really, really well. Probably autistic as well. And I'd say, Homer has a different job every episode. He can't keep a single interest, and he's always getting in trouble and making impulsive decisions. Okay, that's ADHD. And then look at Marge with her OCD, and everything's ordered and everything's fucking. They're all neurodiverse, and they're a really good example of it because it covers the entire gamut of the spectrum. One thing I've been working on lately is Ninja Turtle neurotypes, like Ninja Turtles. Because I was talking with the AI the other day about, I found this Herman's whole brain model, and it talks about the 4 different types of cognitive thinking when working through problems. And so I've been asking the AI to do comparisons, and I found that the Ninja Turtles are actually one of each. And then I found that the Beatles are one of each, and the Ghostbusters are one of each. And I found the best teams usually have one of each neurotype. So that's what I've been doing with my workshops, is helping people identify which Ninja Turtle they closely associate with, and then helping create better teams. Because I find, like, if you imagine, so the 4 of them are in the car. Leonardo's driving because he's a leader. He's driving. He's making sure he doesn't kill anybody on the road and getting them to their destination. Mikey's in the passenger seat, looking out the window, telling jokes, laughing, because he's the vibe guy, and keeping an eye on things. And then, of course, Donnie's sitting in the back seat with the engine manual, studying about how he can make the thing go faster. And then, of course, Raf's sitting next to him with the map book, going, "Oh yeah, you want to take a left up here, Leo? Left, sorry." And then you look at the Ninja Turtles. If they go off on their own, they always get up in trouble, and they require the other Ninja Turtles to help rescue them. And I find that that's what humans are like, is that we are too busy trying to work as independent units, and that's half the problem that kind of shows neurodiversity, right? Whereas we're actually not designed to do that. We're designed to work collectively in groups, actually leaning on each other's neurotypes to create the best possible outcome.
Yeah, and blanks can be filled in a lot of ways, right? Like, you can, if you have a square hole, you can fit a circle in it.
Yeah.
One of the things we do at work a lot is I'll be working on a project and I'll be so dialed in and I'll be banging my head on the wall. I know there's a way to do this. Why can't I figure it out? So we'll ask one of the laborers who has no idea at all what his idea is. And sometimes they just come up with the answer because they don't know the limitations. So they just throw something out there.
I'll go back to working with Dan on Lego Masters. There were times when I would have a solution to a problem and it wouldn't be working, and he'd go, "Oh, have you thought about this?" And I'd be like, "No, completely no. I've thought about 100 other things, but not that, and that's the one that works." And it's often like you can't see the wood for the trees. You're too close to it, and sometimes you just need a different perspective,
Yeah, and you can't have a different perspective if you're going it alone.
And I think that's one of the difficulties these days, is that too many people, rather than listening to other people's perspectives, they quickly just say, well, I don't agree with that perspective. This is my perspective. It's like, so are you not prepared to hear anybody else's perspective, or are you just going to sit there and stand on your soapbox and predict your own?
Yeah.
And I think we could all stand to learn to listen and kind of learn to have disagreeing opinions without hating each other. Yeah. I mean, why?
Yeah. It's entirely possible to disagree without being a dick.
Like, I don't know that it is. Have you seen the internet?
Yeah. It really shouldn't be. Like, hey, that's a great idea, but have you tried this? Like, why not? Not, that's a shitty idea, and then walk out of the room.
Well, this is why I love Lego, because literally it derives from the Danish words "leg godt," which means play well.
Yep. Literally,
play well. And I have 3 rules when it comes to Lego. First rule is play well. Second rule is no brickheads, because brickheads have got a little plastic brick in their head for a brain, and you've got a brain in your head, so use that. And the third rule is be your best self, be your favorite self. Just be yourself. Don't hide behind bullshit.
No brickheads. That's funny.
Pretty simple.
Yeah. For a second there, I thought you were going to take a weird turn and just like say you didn't like brickheads. I'm like, yeah, I don't.
Oh no, I love brickheads. It's just that I just love that there's a little pink brick in the middle of them. Actually, the zombie had a little green brick in the middle of it, which I thought was even funnier. But the thing is, it's a brick. It's not a brain. We've got brains. We should use those.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they don't engage their brains. They just do as they're told. And sometimes that's destructive.
Yeah.
Because the people that are telling you to do those things haven't got your best interests at heart. Yeah. And if you can't discern the difference, then you're just following someone else's playbook, and you're going to get yourself in trouble.
And at that point, you might as well just be a brickhead.
Might as well just be a brickhead. And because it rhymes with dickhead.
Yeah, but it doesn't end in Z.
No.
All right. Well, I want to be respectful of your time here. We've been going a little over an hour now. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, mate, the pleasure's all mine. Thank you. I find it very peculiar that all I did was follow a childhood dream and play with kids' toys on TV, and it resonated with so many people around the world. And then it's allowed me this opportunity to do what I love. I get to have conversations with people like yourself and like all over the world. And I don't, every day I get a message or a thank you from somebody's art that I saw was online, and I loved it, and I shared it, and they go, thank you for sharing. I'm like, no, thank you for building it. You're making my life a brighter place just by existing, And I think that's one of the lessons I've learned, is that don't ever be afraid or ashamed of your silly little hobby, because you never know when your silly little hobby is going to save somebody's life.
Yeah. Wow. It's very clear you've had a hell of an impact on a lot of people. And
to be fair, I'm very lucky that a lot of people have had a really significant impact on me. The reason I am who I am is because I've had some amazing mentors and friends and partners and lovers in my life that have just shaped me into being the human I am today. And I'm very grateful for that. And to just simply to follow my dream and have an opportunity to do the things that I absolutely love to do, and then to be adored for it, it's something everybody deserves. Everybody deserves to be adored for the thing that they love to do more than anything else in the world, just because it's a silly, idle little hobby. And I think about the amount of joy that I bring, and the amount of joy that other people bring me with their silly little hobbies. And I'm just grateful that we have the ability to express ourselves in the way that we do, and that we do live in this age where we can connect with each other across the planet. Despite all the negative stuff that's going on, we can still get together and co-create with each other and have ambitions of co-creating a better planet for our kids and our grandkids. Like, because that's, to me, that's the biggest hope we've got.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's like that expression, like we don't inherit the world from our parents, we borrow it from our children. And I think if more people understood that, then we would be making completely different decisions about what we do on a day-to-day basis.
That's a wild one. Borrow it from our children.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It's been lovely to chat with you, mate.
It has. I will. Oh, so, all right. Where does everybody find you?
At Jono.Samson on most of the media, so Facebook, Insta. I think I'm Jono_Samson on Twitter, although I don't do X very often. And of course, grablifebythebricks.nz is my website if you want to reach out and connect to me. Go check out Spinning Bricks with Jono over on YouTube and give me a like and a subscribe.
Absolutely. It's a good time. I really enjoy that one.
Well, pleasure. There's actually a new episode coming out soon with Sarah she was one of the women that came second on our season Lego Masters. And then subsequent to that, there's a special interviewer. We've got a different interviewer coming up, which I'm quite excited about. But keep an eye out for that.
Oh, cool. All right.
Special guest interviewer. I get to be in the interview seat for a change, kind of like this, but someone else is interviewing me on my own show.
Your own show. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sub. Notifications are on, so I will for sure be looking forward to that one.
Excellent.
All right. Well, I can't say goodnight. Have a great day.
Well, thank you. And until next time, everybody, just remember to grab life by the bricks.
Sure. All right. Good night. Goodbye, everyone. It's been real.
Thank you.
Thank you.